Hello, and you're welcome to Global Business Insight, where from a global perspective, we discuss ideas and offer insights in the fascinating places where finance, business, and culture converge. Just out early today, Japan's headline October Consumer Price Index rose 1.8% year on year, lower than 2.2% in the previous month. Meanwhile, the Tokyo Core CPI, ex fresh food and energy, came in at 1.8%, higher than 1.6% in September. Growth in activity in the UK private sector fell to an 11-month low in October as uncertainty ahead of next week's budget affects confidence. The S&P Global Flash UK PMI Composite Index was 51.7 this month, lower than 52.6 in September. That was also the lowest read in nearly a year. Also in the UK, the GfK Consumer Confidence Index fell to minus 21 in October, hit also by concerns about next week's budget, expected to come with cuts to public services, and also we're expecting to see tax rises. The UK Chancellor Rachel Reeves has also said the government plans to change its debt rules to free up billions for infrastructure spending. German factories also saw a mild recovery in October, while services also rebounded as the manufacturing PMI rose to 42.6 compared to September's 40.6, beating estimates of 40.5 and up to a 3-month high. The Eurozone Purchasing Manager Index for October came in at 49.7, slightly better than in September when it fell to 49.6. Striking Boeing workers rejected a new offer, which included a 35% pay rise over 4 years. The International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers Union said most members, representing 30,000 Boeing staff, voted against the proposed deal. NatWest reported a 25% increase in profits to £1.67 billion. That's about $2.16 billion in the 3 months to September, and also upgraded the outlook, buoyed by improved lending and more success in focusing on operational efficiency. Wall Street stocks rose for the first time this week as traders sought for clues on the health of the U.S. economy from Q3 results. A gauge of the Magnificent Seven hit a 3-month high as Tesla soared over 20% after reporting higher than expected quarterly profits. Chipmaker Intel won a fresh victory yesterday when the EU bloc's top court confirmed a lower tribunal's decision to overturn a €1 billion antitrust penalty. The EU's Court of Justice upheld the decision to annul the fine issued over a decade ago, dismissing an appeal from the European Commission, top antitrust enforcer. Nigeria has officially joined Brics as a partner country alongside 12 other countries, further strengthening its economic ties with the bloc. Brics 2024, in its Kazan declaration, sees the crucial role to improve the international monetary and financial system with a view to make it more responsive to the needs of all countries. Meanwhile, critics insist Brics is a rogue assembly focused on a cross-border currency transfer mechanism outside of SWIFT to evade policing and sanctions by the US. Russia has already set out proposals for a unified depository and clearance system for Brics countries. All this as the IMF agrees that economic growth is shifting increasingly to the Brics bloc. Also, the Kazan summit somewhat normalizes Putin and Xi Jinping as leaders in an alternative ecosystem, relentless in challenging the old order. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu approved implementation of actions to invigorate the administration's capacity for optimal efficiency. Actions included merging some ministries, renaming others, fresh appointments, and some relieved of their posts. Still on Nigeria, the National Bureau of Statistics yesterday said it will rebase Nigeria's gross domestic product and consumer price index next month to ensure the data accurately reflects current realities. First on Tesla. Tesla's shares recorded their biggest one-day gain since 2013 after reporting higher than expected quarterly profit and forecasting strong growth in 2025 deliveries. Net income for the third quarter rose 8% from a year ago to $2.5 billion, exceeding expectations of $2.1 billion. Revenue also was up 8% to $25.2 billion, slightly below estimates. Profits driven by a 2% increase in revenue from vehicle sales, which contributes 80% of group income, alongside a 52% jump at its energy generation and storage business, with a 29% increase in its services arm, which includes its supercharger network. Tesla in the past had seen disappointing quarters as competition heightened and concerns spread about slowing global demand for electric vehicles. Musk this week predicted vehicle sales could increase 20 to 30% next year as it brings down costs, which he hopes will help demand. Yesterday, Tesla's shares rose 21.9%, adding more than $150 billion to its market value. All this as Elon Musk makes a strategic pivot towards autonomous driving, artificial intelligence, and robotics, predicting that these technologies would soon be Tesla's main revenue sources and would drive up its valuation. Tesla also said 29,000 NVIDIA H100 graphics processing unit chips have so far been installed at its Texas manufacturing plant and are being used to train the AI systems that underpin its self-driving technology, adding that this would increase to 50,000 by the end of this month. Markets like clear rosy projections and were less impressed with the much hyped launch of robotaxis and cyber vans. The markets are also keenly watching Musk's foray into US politics. Having involved in a few complex strategic reorganizations, and indeed it can be an opportunity to better support the vision and to fix gaps in aligning leadership to get a better fit and improve chances of achieving the strategic objectives of an organization. The first important thing, however, to state is that while the quality of talent definitely matters, talent is often overrated. Having the right institutional framework like decision processes for success can often be far more important. Still, building institutions and fixing systems, they don't make headlines and they can entail more complex effort, often with higher upfront costs. The longer lasting impact of improved institutions tends to be felt decades after improved structures have stabilized. Also, by far the worst on the team could be the more visible leader caught in an activity trap who misreads a frenzy of poorly conceived initiatives for progress. The truth is, more problems are created as fewer are solved, and the tireless change champion, not focused on the right outcome metrics, can be easily self-deceived to misread laborious efforts as evidence of progress. Effective change leaders need to be always asking, so what, or what happens if we don't do this? In many cases, shutting down some initiatives help focus. Also, issues have to be prioritized and urgency has to be reflected in organizational design. For the Nigerian government, for example, improving innovation and productivity, electricity supply, improving infrastructure, improving security, reducing inflation, and creating jobs have so much more value in terms of importance than, say, sports development, tourism, or livestock development. In a corporate setting, a job evaluation will guide how to reward jobs. In the public sector, this can be more complicated and rewards often do not reflect contribution, skill, and urgency of tasks. The result is difficulty in attracting the right talent and poor motivation to move faster. Culture issues are also often underappreciated. A healthy culture of performance does not emerge by default. Instead, cronyism, obvious waste and extravagance, cult like opacity, weak direction, and other suboptimal types tend to thrive when you don't have deliberate tools like peer reviews, strategy sessions, balanced scorecards with the right blend of quick wins and longer term goals, and so on. And where you don't have these types of assessments like independent performance assessments, as well as the right lateral mechanisms to encourage cross-functional cooperation and the needed teamwork, you will tend to have a suboptimal organization. You also want to spot and address favoritism, subjectivity, misogyny, gender imbalance, toxic patterns, and abuse of power long before they become problematic. Embedding new tools, usually digital aids, can also help to improve productivity and the decision making. The bane of most government type bodies is the slow pace of work. Bureaucracy, mislabeled as an army filling offices, buildings, and floors, tends to be the norm. A well executed re engineering of core processes makes most functions not just redundant, but it makes better use of automation, creates greater customer experience, and reduces the cost of governance while adding value in terms of things like staff morale, citizens' well being, and overall prosperity. In short, improving organizational performance usually happens when you have the right tools and components and continually asking the right questions, getting the answers to root causes of problems. When the right mechanisms are absent, outcomes inevitably suffer, the wrong people are rewarded, and worse, suboptimal behavior is reinforced and applauded. Senior business analyst Lekon Shorter speaks to the latest reorganization of ministers by the President of Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
The expected changes in the cabinet of President Bola Tinubu of Nigeria finally came, though observers will be keenly looking to see if it will lead to significant changes in performance of his government. Just as yet others speculate that there will still be more appointments, redeployments, and sackings. While 5 ministers were asked to go, 7 others were appointed. The Ministry of Sports was replaced with a sports commission. One ministry was renamed and expanded, while 2 others were merged. 2 of the 10 ministers of state that were redeployed became full ministers, while their colleagues who remained ministers of state may not make much significant impacts in their new ministries unless their new bosses give them the opportunity. Many agree that the performance of the 5 ministers that were relieved of their posts was lackluster. Also, observers think that many of those who are still retained in the cabinet are no better than those who are asked to go. They too should have been replaced. While one must appreciate that the changes that were made were based on some kind of performance appraisal, there's no doubt that President Bola Tinubu still has more rejigging to do in order to enhance the performance of his cabinet.
Asia Pacific markets were mostly higher, with Japan's Nikkei falling as investors awaited Japan's general election over the weekend. Core inflation in Japan was lower than the central bank's 2% target for the first time in 5 months, reinforcing expectations that the central bank will keep its key interest rate unchanged at a policy meeting next week. Well, that's it from me on Global Business Insights. This is Bode Oshosami. Thanks for sharing and following or subscribing on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and X. Again, thank you so very much for watching.